understand about classifications of substations, how they have been classified and what are the different sub-classifications. So generally the substations may be classified in numerous ways based on various factors. The first factor being on the basis of nature of duties, second one on the basis of service rendered, third one on the basis of operating voltage, fourth one on the basis of importance, and the last one on the basis of design. So we have categorized into 5 types of substations. Now let us understand each substation and its sub classifications. Now the first one, classifications of substation based on the nature of duties. Now this is, as the name indicates, the substation is further classified into 3 types, that is step up or primary substation, primary grid substation, and step down or distribution substation. Now let us understand when step up is used, when the what do you mean by primary grid substation, and what do you mean by step down or distribution substation. As the name indicates, step up or primary substation. So generally these substations are employed or used at the generating stations where the power is being generated. Now the voltage being generally the voltage in the generating stations being 3.3, 6.6, 11 or 33 kV, and this voltage has to be stepped up from the primary substation in order to transmit it, so that huge block of power can be transmitted over the longer distances. Generally we know that the stations which are generating power which are far away from the load centers, so we need to transmit this over to the load centers and economical. So that is the name. Initially in the primary substations, voltage is being stepped up and it is transmitted. Next comes primary grid substations. So in primary grid substations, generally they are located near to the load centers along with the primary transmission lines. Generally what happens in these substations, the voltage is stepped down. The voltage which was stepped up in the primary substation is received here and it is stepped down to different secondary voltages. Further after reduction, this secondary voltage is transmitted to the transmission lines and over to the secondary substations, which are generally situated near to the load centers, and there again further the voltage will be stepped down to transmit our primary distribution voltages. So this is the working of your primary grid substation. And the third one is step down or distribution substations. Generally these substations are located near the load centers locally. Now here the substation primary distribution voltage is stepped down to secondary distribution voltage, that is the voltage which is being generally used at industries and residential purpose, that is 415 to 240 volts, and these are the substation where they generally directly feed the customers through their distribution network and service lines. So on the basis of nature of duties, step up are primary grid, and step down are distribution substation. Second classification, that is classification of substation on the basis of services rendered. So here again they are further classified into transformer substation, switching substations, and converting substations. What do you mean by transformer substations? Generally transformers will be installed on such substation. The role will be to transform the power from one voltage level to other level as per the requirement and the needs. So they are called as transformer substation. Switching substation means generally here the switching operation of power lines without voltage transformer being done will be carried out here. Here we have different connections made between the transmission line and switching operation are carried out here. Then converting substation, suppose we receive DC power in some line that will be converted into AC or vice versa, and then it is transmitted. So such substations are called as converting substation. So basis on service rendered, these are the 3 types. Next classification. So classification of substation on the basis of operating voltages. So on what voltage we operate. So they are categorized as high voltage substations, that is SHV. So here the voltages are generally being 11 kV and 66 kV. And we have second one, extra high voltage substation, that is EHV substation. Here the voltages will be between 132 kV and 400 kilovolts. And the third one, ultra high voltage substations, we also call them as UHV substations. They will be operating on voltages above 400 kV. So you can see here high voltage 11 to 66, EHV, that is extra high voltage 132 to 400, more than 400 is called as ultra high voltage substations. Next, D, that is fourth category classification on the basis of importance. On the basis of importance, there are two types, grid substation and also second one, town substations. What do you mean by grid substations? Means where the bulk power is transmitted from one point to the other point within the grid. So they are very, very important, because if any disturbance which is caused within the grid system here, and it might cause the failure of entire grid or the entire connection which is passing here. So grid substation is one wherein bulk power is transmitted. And town substation means generally these substations within the town, they are used to operate or step down the voltage from 33 to 11 kV for further distribution within the town. So here if any failure in such substation results in the whole supply to the particular town. So this is based on importance. And the last one, based on design. There are two types of substation. So based on design, we call them as indoor substation and outdoor substation. As the name itself indicates, indoor within the building or within the structure, outdoor which is exposed. Again, outdoor there will be two types, pole mounted and foundation mounted. Generally in indoor type substations, so the apparatus is installed within the installation building itself, or the substation building itself. So generally these substations can work up to 33 kV and 66 kV. Where we prefer such substation means wherein there is a lot of contamination, impurities, metal corroding gases. In such cases we can go for indoor type. When it comes to outdoor type, again I said there are two types, pole mounted substations and foundation mounted substations. Here we would have seen the pole like structure, like H-type pole, they would have been erected and the equipments are placed on pole mounted, and foundation mount with the help of permanent foundations they would have laid. So pole mounted substation, it can handle the capacity up to 125 kVA, even 250 kVA is possible in pole mounted substation. If at all the capacity is greater than 250 kVA, then it is always better to go for foundation mounted substations. So this is how the classifications of substation has been done. Thank you.